One of the rough realizations a lot of people have as kids is that the friends and people in your life now might not be around when you get older. It's a fact of life that when friends grow up, sometimes they drift apart, and that can be quite a scary thing for a child to realize. And it just so happens one of my favorite shows covers this topic in a very realistic way. Tree of Life is an episode of Clarence that I feel captures this fear of losing your friends as you get older beautifully. And there's a big reason why I feel this way is because of the episode's strong use of symbolism. Yes, I am talking about symbolism in a Clarence episode. Welcome to the Papercut YouTube channel. This is how I roll. The symbol in question being this tree, which we learn holds a very special place in the heart of one Chad, Clarence's stepdad.
But when we finally reached the top, it was all worth it.
We carved our names in that tree and we've been best friends ever since.
Clarence is immediately enamored with Chad's stories of his childhood friends and how they completed this seemingly Herculean task of climbing the tree and carving their names in it. Something important to notice here is that the tree is already being set up to be a symbol of the friendship that Chad had with his friends, and later in the episode, the friendship between Clarence, Sumo, and Jeff. Especially when you consider that it's revealed that multiple friend groups across the years have carved their names into this very tree. Clarence is very close to Jeff and Sumo. Their friendship is pretty much the foundation of the show itself, so naturally Clarence wants to carve his friends' names in the tree, just like Chad and his friends did. However, his excitement quickly turns into disappointment when he learns the tree is being cut down the very next day. This really puts a dent in his mood, and he goes through the rest of the day hyper-fixating on all the things in his life that he may want, but can't get because they're limited.
Hey, Clarence, you want to play a board game?
Heck yeah, I do. Where's Sumo?
Oh, he's gone.
Aww.
To the bathroom.
Oh.
I think this was a smart thing to do story-wise because the tree being cut down the next day acts as a sort of clock for the story. Clarence has to make sure he and his friends carve their names into the tree before it gets cut down, obviously, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. The way he sees it, he realizes that the time he has with his friends may also be limited. So carving the names in the tree is to ensure that he always has some sort of physical connection to his friends. Basically, the tree is a symbol for his friendship, and the tree being cut down is also symbolic of the fact that friendship might not last forever. One thing I liked here is that the three of them all have their separate reasons for wanting to climb the tree here. Jeff realizes that he's actually really good at climbing and wants to flex as much as he can. Sumo can apparently talk to the tree, but I think that's just the fungus talking. And Clarence feels like he has to in order to protect his friendship. All of them are interested in the plot for completely different reasons, even though Clarence has the strong motivations here, and is the one who got the others to climb the tree in the first place. One thing I've always hated in stories is when a character is forced to be in a plot that they have no interest in being in. Because not only will said character act in a way that isn't positively affecting the plot, it low-key just rubs me the wrong way when a character is being forced to be there. If I can think of an example, think of every episode of The Amazing World of Gumball that involved Sarah. Every single time Gumball and Darwin want absolutely nothing to do with her, but because of the way the episodes are written, they have to bend their characters to participate in whatever it is Sarah wants to rope them into. But if we take this episode, Jeff initially doesn't want to participate, but the writers create a clever way for him to be engaged in the plot.
Nocturnal animal!
Moving on, we get this montage of the trio climbing the tree, and once again we see how each of their perspectives on climbing the tree differ. Jeff has the time of his life, Sumo starts seeing these weird faces in the trees, and Clarence is steadily focused on just getting to the top. There's some really good art direction here too. I've always been a sucker for the backgrounds of the show in particular, especially the night scenes, and there's some great stuff here. I like how they mess with the perspective of the tree from when the adult characters are looking at it versus when any kid is shown to be climbing it and it seems absolutely massive. Which makes sense because from a kid's perspective, this would seem like a grand adventure. So to quite literally scale up the size of the tree makes sense. The gang decides to take a break near the top of the tree, and we see Jeff and Sumo get into a little argument here. Because Jeff has a giant ego and can't keep his mouth shut about how great he is, and Sumo is just a hardhead who doesn't appreciate his arrogance sometimes, it really doesn't take much for these two to get into a fight. But it's not actually a big fight or whatever, it resolves itself pretty quickly, and like Clarence says,
These are the quarrels that only true friendship can bring about.
I like that, because not every argument back then was some huge deal as a kid. Niggas would be in each other's faces 1 minute, and we wouldn't even remember that shit 30 minutes later. It's realistic. I should mention too that this episode is also really funny. It's not all story and characters and shit.
We could play Jumongo, the only game where players climb a tree.
So the trio gets to a crossroads where they have to decide whether to take this beautifully lit up path or a dark and scary path with a face on it. Sumo, using the power of the fungus trip he's on, talks to the tree and insists the gang goes down to the dark path. And exactly how Chad and his friends got caught in a snowstorm when they were climbing the tree, the same thing happens to them.
Wait for me!
Hold on, what the fuck is that? They just put this nigga here out of nowhere. I'm so lost. Wait a minute, hold on. I've seen this nigga before. Give me a second.
And I'm sorry, I always forget your name.
Schmabulok.
Gravity Falls and Clarence? Same universe? Yo, I gotta chill. I'm on my Berlizzi shit. Clarence is forced to pick which one of his friends to save. Knowing how important it is to him to do this with all his friends adds an extra weight to the fact that he has to let one of them go. Sumo decides to be the one to take the fall, and honestly, he seems just fine with it.
That was fun.
This only strengthens Clarence's determination to make it to the top with at least one of his friends. That quickly goes to shit too when Jeff's arms get tired, and he physically cannot lift himself up the tree anymore. This causes Clarence to become even more distressed, since exactly what he was trying to stop from happening, which was him losing his friends, is happening right in front of him. He really goes through it in this one, while his other two friends really don't take it as deep as he does, which is a funny contrast. There's this one line that he spits that essentially describes his entire state of mind and the premise of this episode, and this review to an extent.
I don't want to be like Chad and Jer and Gunnar. They grew up and went in different directions. We have to do this together.
It perfectly captures the kind of fear that I'm talking about. It's the fear that knowing someday the people you're close to now might just depart from you in the future as you grow up, along with the fact that there's almost nothing you can do about it. Life just naturally separates people from each other, and if you're not really locked in with someone for a long enough time, that relationship you once had can end without anyone saying anything. Remember how I said the tree being cut down acts as a sort of timer for Clarence to get his friends' names carved? Well, that comes back up again as the tree actually starts talking to him and reminds him that if he doesn't do it before he gets cut down soon, he'll be failing his friends. Seeing the amount of effort he puts in to get the job done is actually really cool. And when he gets to the top, it isn't a celebratory moment, because he realized that all he's worked for in doing this is pointless because none of his friends are there with him.
Remember, full legal name, middle initial, yes!
Sign the contract, big boy. Sign the contract.
Anyways, Clarence chooses to ignore the tree's persuasion and doesn't carve his name in it, realizing that if he really wants to keep that connection with his friends, he just has to be where they're at. It's a really dope lesson, and one that I wish I had drilled into me when I was a bit younger, but also one that I'm glad that I have now. Golly, I fucking hate it when I get sappy in these videos. Clarence gets to watch the tree cut down with his friends, and we also learn that Chad and his friends are still tight, which is a cool detail, and that was the Tree of Life. Alright, another Clarence video in the bin. Give me my views already.